many of you know, I am a brand marketer. I am a marketer in general. I have the pleasure of teaching a course at West Virginia University, which I wrote on brand evolution strategy. And from time to time, I'm going to come in and talk to you about a bunch of brand-related topics. But there is one in particular that I want to talk to you about today. You know, the other day, I went for a run with my son, and there was a man on the side of the road near his mailbox, and he was smoking. And my son looked at me, and you know, I think there's an entire generation now growing up with looking at cigarettes as a pariah, looking at smoking as a pariah. Ironically, of course, there's been almost a counter trend with respect to vaping, but with respect to smoking cigarettes. You know, I grew up in South Africa looking at the Lexington and the Marlboro Man and Peter Stuyvesant on the French Riviera. I could get the girl, you know, I would have those washboard abs. I would be a millionaire, a billionaire. I'd get, you know, like everything would work out if I just lit up. That was the way that cigarettes had been positioned, and now it's the exact opposite. You know, and so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today. Part of the book Built to Suck that I wrote was this idea of embracing your heresy. And there are many heresies. What if advertising went away? What if you fired yourself? What if you did a hard reset? What if you turned your back on your customer? What if you gave away your product for free and still no one wanted it? One of the derivations, or one of the subsets of this idea of advertising going away, or what if there was no paid media, was what if advertising became a pariah? What if all of advertising became as much of a pariah as smoking or smoking related advertising? And what's really happened is that, you know, smoking has become such a pariah that these are real packaging. This is real packaging in many respects. It's incredible to think of the fact that people are still, I mean, clearly it's an addiction, right? But people are still smoking and buying packets that have these disfigured and discolored and disgusting images of what really smoking does to you. Now, Juul at one point was allowed to advertise, and then it too was banned, not just Juul, but advertising, vaping advertising as well. And so we have these two forces, right? We have advertising, not as a force for good, but as a force for evil. I spent a lot of time, those of you that subscribe to my newsletter would have seen what I called bland advertising and the whole "we've got your back" in the video that I showed last week on CoronaTV. And then you have this idea of smoking. And it just got me to thinking, what if this is the end? What if this is the end of advertising for smoking? What if this was the end of smoking? What if right now this COVID-19 will be the final nail in the coffin of smoking, the straw that broke the camel's back of smoking? You know, we've never really been able to break through from a messaging standpoint or an advertising standpoint. We've never really been able to. The problem, of course, with trying to send out a public service announcement is that the more you tell a young person not to do something, the more they'll do it, the more they'll rebel against you, the more hard-hitting you are, right? This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs, the famous PSA. I actually wanted to share with you, look, I don't believe that there have been many successful attempts, but I think occasionally some things have been able to break through. This is one of them, which I just want to play for you quickly.
Over 80% of cigarette smoke is invisible, so no matter how careful you are, they still breathe in the harmful poisons. If you could see what's really there, you wouldn't smoke. Text INVISIBLE to 63818 for a smoke-free kit.
So I think the whole push and the whole uh, project or plan associated with second-hand smoking was a big one. And I think that for the first time allowed people to see smoking in a different light. And I think the message was, if you don't care what this is doing to your body, to your lungs, at least care about the people around you. Care about your infant, your newborn baby, your children. I think for the first time, it allowed people that either were struggling to quit, that knew they were addicted, or maybe just were being selfish, to feel that selfishness, that it actually wasn't about them anymore. And also that concept of a stigma. If you saw someone walking their baby and smoking, you'd almost want to chastise them. Well, I think from a cultural standpoint, this is what's happening right now. And I think now that we've recognized that COVID-19 is pneumonia connected and a respiratory based disease, or at least influenced by or affected by, maybe this will be that tipping point in a way. Karen just said, so true. There was one thing I didn't want my two children to do, which of course they had to try. Yeah, but hopefully now, Karen, there is this added waiting, which is, if and when this happens again, and we certainly hope it won't, what will happen is we need to be better prepared physically. And yes, for the most part, going through this evolution where we don't know what we don't know, where we think we know what we don't know, but where we're learning all the time, that if we're fitter, if we're in better shape, surely we have a better chance. We have a fighting chance. If we came into this with underlying conditions, and let's be clear, obesity is an underlying condition. Being a smoker is an underlying condition. Living a life that is not healthy in terms of your mind, in terms of your body, is not healthy. So we need to make sure that the vigilance in terms of how we look after ourselves, again, physically, but also mentally with respect to our mental strength, we need to be better prepared as well. Think about that for a second. It's something that I've even spoken about from a corporate standpoint. The companies that were teetering on the edge coming into this, that didn't have the buffer, that were struggling with Amazon, the bricks and mortar companies, they are now basically done. I mean, they are in peril. The companies that came into this with a buffer, those are the companies that have that little bit of margin or that room for error, that safety net, that comfort, that little bit of comfort as well. Well, the same should be true with respect to our physical selves and our mental health and wellness. If we were fragile coming into this, it's so much easier to fall to pieces or harder to keep it together. And I think kind of coming out of this, I even said to my son this morning, he was lounging around in bed and look, he's not feeling well. He's sleeping right now. But I actually said to him, you don't want to be lying in bed waiting for your next class to start. You want to get out of bed. You want to get out of bed. Look, I'm not saying get out of bed at 7 a.m., which is when he normally would get out of bed. Maybe 8 or 8:30 or even 9. But get dressed, get up, get in the shower, try and create a sense of normalcy, even when everything around you is not, in fact, normal. And so that's why I just wanted to share with you today. Oh, look, hi, Lindy. I didn't realize you were on. I don't know what part of this you thought was amazing, but I'll take the compliment. But I want you to think about that for a second. That's the thought of the day in a sense, which is, could this be the end of smoking? And that would be a good end. That would be something that we would hasten and accelerate and welcome. The end of something that has only been negative. And as a result of all these people smoking and struggling to stop and quit, those people became more susceptible and more vulnerable to this disease. And certainly for those people that are out there, don't feel bad, don't feel scared, don't feel mad. Quit now if you can. Why not? Why wouldn't you? And hopefully you will make it through this and you will be safe and you will be sound.